Okay. Well, welcome to our presentation today. My name is Javier Magdaleno. I'm a teacher at IES Antonio Tobar right now, but next year I will be here. I will be a teacher in IES Pinar de la Rubia. But also I have been working for 12 years in Consejería de Educación as a teacher trainer and also as the director of the Teacher Training Center for Foreign Languages. So I have a lot of experience in this kind of European projects. And in this case, IES Pinar de la Rubia has invited me to make a presentation to celebrate really the Day of Europe. Okay, this is also something that the European Commission promotes. Okay, that we have to celebrate the values of Europe in this kind of days, all right? And of course, we take the chance to greet all the European teachers who are in the streaming right now, some of the members of the Erasmus program that is finishing right now. I don't know if you have participated in this Erasmus project that IES Pinar de la Rubia is finishing right now, okay, but this is part of this celebration of the Day of Europe. Okay, so of course it's not only going to be a presentation, but I also want you to talk, to participate. Okay, but first of all, as a brief introduction, I want you to watch a video. All right, more or less with the most important outline of what I am going to speak about today. All right, so we don't have any sound, any music right now, only in the streaming maybe. So we are only going to see the images, but imagine very epic music. All right, so that's the video, and that's what the presentation of today is going to be about. That we really live in Europe right now. Okay, so in this case we have different risks. Okay, would be the index. Okay, the risk of destabilization in the European Union. If we consider the history of the European Union, this is a moment when maybe we have some risky moments. Okay, everybody knows, you all know that the situation is right now is depending on how maybe the war in Ukraine is going to continue, if it's going to affect some of the European countries that are around this area of conflict. Also, many politicians, for example, do not believe that the European Union is the best option for their country. We will mention some of the countries that really have governors that are in the European Union but are considering maybe the chance of getting away from it. Okay, and also in some countries that are, you know, maybe some of the founders of the European Union, there are some political parties inside these countries that do not believe in this idea of a common Europe, a common economic value, all the values of the European Union, and they would like maybe to separate from it. Okay, so that's why this is a risky moment. Okay, I did a very similar speech to this like in 2013. Okay, in this same room, and we were talking about some political parties in Spain that were considering the option of maybe separating from the European Union. So there was some kind of a debate like 10 years ago about is it convenient for Spain to continue in the European Union? Are the benefits more than the counterparts? Okay, so there was a debate. In fact, I remember talking to you, and they were asking questions and giving their opinion. Okay, so 10 years later, okay, let's see how the evolution of Spain in this case has come, and especially for young people. Okay, so remember that you're also going to take part in this speech, all right? And also, of course, against this risk, what we have is the foundations of Europe. Okay, the values of Europe. Okay, I mean Europe has in its foundation values and pillars. Okay, so like the three pillars of the European Union, no? The economic stability, the fact that we have like a common opinion on military matters, judicial system. Okay, for example, many times somebody is not happy with the decisions that the judicial system has in Spain, so they can apply to the European judicial system. So these are part of the values of the European Union, and they are the ones that we have to defend, you know, that also contribute to these problems, so to solve these problems that we are having right now. Okay. So talking about the risk, of course, the main risk is this one. Okay, we are in a moment in which maybe one morning we wake up, maybe a missile has been dropped in Poland, for example. No, so what could happen in that situation? Okay, nobody knows. Okay, we touch on good that that doesn't happen, no? But this means that, of course, we're in a war around the European Union. Okay, I mean today we are celebrating the Day of Europe. Of course, Europe is not only the European Union, no, but it is promoted that by the European Union, by the European Commission, of course, no. So this is it's really a risky moment. Okay, so this is one of the dangers that we are having right now in our country. For instance, in Europe, because we consider Europe maybe as our country, no? Ukraine, for example, wants to belong to the European Union. Okay, in fact, when the war started, Ukraine asked for the European Union to be incorporated as fast as possible, because that could mean that, of course, the European Union and the European military forces could defend Ukraine from Russia. Okay, what was the problem? Of course, in order to be part of the European Union, you need to establish some kind of economic standards, some kind of, you know, things that you have to provide to Europe before that process is completed. No, so the European Union supports Ukraine, but they thought that it was too risky, you know, to incorporate them just in a month period. Okay, so that's why it also affects the European Union. But okay, we are in the process of incorporation of Ukraine to the European Union. What would happen if we incorporate it right now? That, of course, will be part of the war. You understand? So, I mean, so the idea is that we have to postpone that maybe until the war finishes, and let's see if later on Ukraine can be part of the European Union. Okay, so that's one of the most important risks that we are having now. Okay, also 10 years ago the European Union was more powerful than it is now. Okay, because one of the founding fathers of the European Union has got away from it. Okay, as you can see, this is the Brexit. Okay, this means that Great Britain has got away from the European Union. Of course, it's also some kind of destabilization moment. Of course, it was hard to convince the other partners, well, how are we going to do this? Okay, the Great Britain is out of the European Union. We have to continue with our funding, providing money for the more underdeveloped countries. Okay, so in the end, luckily, more or less, the process has been quite fine. Okay, so they are separating. There are some problems with the borders of Northern Ireland and Ireland, as you know. As you know, Northern Ireland is part of Great Britain, is out of the European Union, but the south of Ireland is part of the European Union. No? So anyway, the thing is that even though this has been one of the worst moments in the European Union history, this situation has evolved fine so far. Okay, and the European Union is as strong as it was before. Okay. However, some political parties in some countries do not have a very firm idea of Europe. Okay? We have the example of Viktor Orban. Viktor Orban is sometimes, maybe you watch it on the news, okay, he's like, he usually speaks in a very controversial way, like, for example, not speaking very nicely about immigration. I mean, they don't want immigrants coming to their country, you know, things that are not the opinion of the European Union. No? So I mean, this is one of the countries that is like more conflictive in that sense. If you are part of the European Union, you also have to support the values of the European Union: social justice, equity, promotion of you know, accepting anybody from any So it's one of the populisms that is one of the problems right now. They are governing now in Hungary. The same as the Prime Minister of Italy in this case. For example, this is from a right-wing party, a very like populist right side party, and they won the elections last year. In the program of this party, it was that if they won if they became prime ministers, they could get away from the European Union. However, when they won the elections, of course, they thought about the benefits on the counterparts, and they said, okay, we're going to stay in the European Union. We're going to accept all the money that comes from Europe. So this means that even though maybe the initial position of these populist parties is to get away from the European Union, once they get into the power, of course, they have to think not only on their party, but on the whole country, okay? But still, these kind of opinions can appear, okay? Maybe you are going to vote in the future, and some of the parties that you are going to vote have in their program that they don't like this idea of Europe imposing things to Spain, okay? Because that's something, first of all, that's the opinion of many British people. When I talk to British people saying, why did you get out of Europe, the European Union? And they said, no, because we don't want Europe to tell us what we have to do, okay? That you have, for example, for agriculture, you can only produce this and this and that, okay? So they don't like this idea of being imposed, okay? Sometimes, of course, not seeing the benefits that they have from other sides. So, all right, so these are the risks, okay? So it's one of the maybe most difficult moments for the European Union. However, of course, what we have is the values that we want to transmit in this kind of days. Of course, these are the European values, okay? So any time that you talk about Europe, that we have a conference about Europe, that you go to an Erasmus program, for example, the Erasmus program that you are having right now, when we write this kind of applications to apply for this, we always have to refer to this, okay? Because our project is going to offer the chance of being trained by teachers and by students about the human dignity, freedom, democracy, of course, equality, this is very important, equal opportunities for everybody, okay? The rule of law, okay? And respect for human rights, including the rights of persons belonging to minorities. This is essential for Europe. I mean, the European values are accepting difference, promoting that minorities get incorporated into any country that belongs to Europe, okay? And also the fact that every country has more or less similar possibilities, okay? You are very young, okay? So you don't know anything about Spain maybe in the 1970s or things like that. But in Spain in the 1970s, our country was much poorer than it is now, okay? Because when we got incorporated in the European Union, that was by the mid-1980s, okay? It was a time when we received a lot of funds from the other countries in Europe. Because imagine the situation of Germany, France, that had a high economic level, and Spain was here, okay? So the idea of Europe is always to keep them at the same level. So that's why we receive many funds in order to build roads, to build hospitals, to build many things. No, right now this kind of fundings still continue. Okay, so maybe you can be, I don't know, in Valladolid, in Arroyo, whatever, and you can see maybe a notice saying supported by the European Union. Okay, so many times when we build a road, when we have new computers as a school. For example, now there is a very important program which is called Next Generation EU, okay, and many things that are coming to our schools are coming with this program, with this European program, to promote the acquisition of new equipment for our students. No? So anyway, the thing is that, of course, we need to have these values in all these different countries. No? Okay. But the most important objective is to promote what we call European citizenship, which is more or less the same idea. Okay, European citizenship means that any European citizen, as you are, defends all these values that I mentioned before. Okay, that's why in the Maastricht treatment, okay, in maybe before, there's to establish a citizenship common to nationals of all the European countries. And to this end, it laid out a clear set of rights open to all nationals of European Union members. These are the ones that we mentioned and that you saw in the video. Okay, social justice, for example. Okay. But the idea of European citizenship is not still complete. That's why in this kind of presentations we always talk about the European citizenship program. Okay, this is a program that is aimed at young people around Europe. Okay, and in this case, this slogan, "Join the debate." It's about Europe. It's about you. The idea is not for you to think that Europe is far away from you. That is, you have to incorporate it to any kind of debate that you have right now in Spain, in Europe. I mean, so we have to think at the European level. We are really Europeans as well as Spanish. Okay. So the European Union these are the foundations of Europe. No, it's made of its citizens and for its citizens. Okay. With this in mind, the Europe for Citizens program is funding projects aimed at getting the European Union's 500 million inhabitants, okay, to play a greater part in the development of the European Union. That's why it's so important to have European Erasmus programs. Okay, remember that maybe in the past you thought about Erasmus only for university. Of course, you are going to apply for an Erasmus when you are at university, but also there are European Erasmus programs at the schools. Okay, the schools apply for these programs so that you have the possibility of participating in exchanges with students all around Europe, as the project that you are having right now. Okay, so that's what Europe is giving. It's giving a lot of money, really, for young people to be able to move around Europe in order to have the European values. Okay, so you have the same values as they can have in Greece, in Italy, or in whatever country in there. Okay? And also something very important, okay, the fact that we have a Schengen area. Do you know what Schengen area is? No. Does anybody know what Schengen area is? No? Okay. Schengen area, it means that we can move freely, okay, in all these countries, only with our ID, okay? So when we can move to France, to Italy, wherever, only with our ID. Before, you don't know it, but in the past when we had to cross the frontier, we had to show papers and passport and things like this. We were stopped at the frontier, for instance, and now as we are in a common Europe, we can move freely. Okay, that's what is called a Schengen area. Okay, and for example, Great Britain is not part of the Schengen area anymore. Okay, so if you want to, have you ever been to England last year or this year? Any of you? No? Well, so I was there like 15 days ago, and I had to show my passport. Okay, so that's one of the inconveniences of this. We are not now part of the same European Union, so the Schengen area is very important, not only for young people moving around, but also for for the market. Okay, because you are transporting food, for example, from one place to the other, and the truck doesn't have to be stopping at every border. Okay. And also the right to vote is other most important element, and to stand as a candidate for European and municipal elections. Okay, so also the fact that we have representation from Spain in this European Parliament. Okay, the right to petition and to submit a complaint to the Supreme European Court. This is very important. Okay, sometimes the laws that we have in our countries are not as efficient as they should be, and sometimes you have to apply to the European Court because the right, there is a moment when you cannot apply to any superior instance in our country, in your country, in Spain or in Italy or whatever, so you have to apply to a superior instance in the European Union. So that's also the umbrella for maybe injustices that can happen in some countries. Okay? And also the right to protection by the diplomatic or consular activities, okay, when you are away from the European Union. Imagine that you have a problem, for example, in the United States, in Kenya or wherever, you are supported by the European Union, okay, not only by Spain. For Spain is maybe the country that you will have require information from, but maybe in a country where maybe the consulate of Spain is not in the right place, in the capital or wherever, you can, of course, go to any European country, the consulate in this case, all right? And for also, these are the most important elements, and also the three pillars, okay? These are the three pillars of the European Union. This is a very beautiful slide because we have all the different elements that compose Europe. Of course, The first pillar is the European community regarding the market. Of course, as you know, we'll have the next slide talking about that. I mean, it means that, for example, in agriculture, the distribution of the production is not depending on one country, but we have to be it has to be distributed by the different countries. For example, we cannot produce milk according only to Spanish standards. We have some kind of number of liters that we can produce in Spain together with France or with Italy, okay? Because the idea is a global European production, so to say, okay? Also the same with fish, for example, fishermen, etc. Okay? The second pillar, the common foreign and security policy. It's funny because, of course, we act as a European Union, but we don't have a European Union army, okay? Because talking about military elements, military comments, you know, the European army is not like the European army, the USA army, etc. Because we have another organization that is devoted to this idea of military. Do you know the name of that organization? In English it would be NATO, North Atlantic Treaty Organization. In Spanish it would be OTAN, okay? So this means that this is like an umbrella term talking about many different countries. So sometimes the decisions are not taken in Europe or in the United States as a NATO, okay? For example, as I mentioned before, if, we touch on good, if Russia attacks Poland, for example, the problem will be with the NATO, not only with the European Union, because they are attacking, you know, a European country that is part of the NATO, you know, so it would involve many other things, okay? But we don't really have a European Union army, okay? But we work together, all the military army. And the third one is the police and judicial cooperation, okay? What I mentioned before, this idea that we always have this European justice system that will support any inequalities that we can have in our judicial systems in every different country. Okay? I'm talking about the European community market. Okay, we have this customs union. For example, the fact that we have a Schengen area, so there are no customs. Okay, remember that customs is aduana, no? So there are no customs. There is a customs union. We don't have to pay. Passing from one frontier to the other. We have a single market in the European Union, a common agricultural policy, common fisheries policy, right? European competition law, economic and monetary union, of course, the euro. Imagine what it was before when you had to travel to France and pay in francs, okay? You had to go to Germany, you know, I mean, you have to change currency every different country. Now with the idea of Europe, of course, it has been also a great advance, no? And also education and culture. This is very important, okay? That we have more or less the same kind of education system, okay? For example, talking about this element, when I was with other European partners, we were talking about what is the most important to have in your education system. And also, as a transversal thing, it was common to mention social justice. Okay, this is very important for Europe, okay? Especially in countries, for example, Spain is not a country that has many problems of injustice. I mean, we are not considered like a racist country, so to say, because we have a tradition that we have been, of course, immigrants, you know, we have been immigrants. So this means that, I mean, we don't have this idea of, no, we don't want anybody from abroad coming here, no? We have this idea of acceptance, no? It's part of our DNA from Spain. But for example, in countries as Austria, for example, Hungary, there are many problems with racism, okay? They don't accept immigrants as much as we do. So that's why in these countries, they consider essential that in all Europe, all the curriculum has to be established with this idea of social justice, promotion of equity, okay? Because we never have to forget that we have to accept anybody coming to Europe, in this case to Spain, okay? And also, well, this idea of healthcare, because healthcare system more or less is established in a similar way, different from, for example, to the European, I mean, to the United States, no? Okay? And that's more or less the presentation, okay? All right, because now is your time to talk, okay? So the second point is political disaffection. We shouldn't turn a blind eye on politics. Do you know what's the meaning of to turn a blind eye on? Okay, it's like to close our eyes, no? I mean, to turn a blind eye, no? Yes.
Not to care.
That's right. Not to care. That's right. So we shouldn't just say, no, I don't care about the European Union, about the idea of Europe. Okay, so I mean, we shouldn't turn our eye on that. Education for European citizenship. In fact, in the new law, as you know, we are in a change of law. Okay, in this case, you are in the first course of Macedo, so you are now with the law, no? In the like as a transversal element in your competencies is the promotion of social justice, health and well-being, for example, at the school, and also this idea of European citizenship. This is transversal to all the subjects, okay? So in English, not only in English, but also in mathematics, in history, okay? You have to promote this idea of social justice, of European values, etc. Okay, so this has to be not only in Spain, but in all the European countries, okay? And the right to vote from the age of 16. I was talking to Jose Ramon before coming here, and we were just establishing some points of debate, maybe for you, okay? They have told me that you are like very talkative, that you are not shy at all, okay? You are very outgoing, very extrovert, so don't be afraid to make all the questions that you want, okay, of course. But first, I'm going to make the question, okay? Do you feel proud of being European? Okay, anybody? Anybody? Oh. I don't know your names. Okay. So, first of all, do you feel proud? What's your name, sorry? Raúl. Okay. Oh. So, do you feel proud of being European? Okay. And why? Why do you feel proud? I mean, explain yourself just a little bit. I mean, why do you feel proud of being European? Can you make a sentence or? No. Okay. All right. Anybody apart from Raúl that can explain why you feel proud of being European? Yeah.
I am proud because I do believe in that point that you said of being all equal and accepting people, because I think that everyone should have a chance at least to become what they want. Because I mean, we are all humans, so I guess we should have all the same opportunities to be as good as we could be.
Wonderful, great speech. Wonderful. Okay, these are the values of Europe. Okay, so your name, sorry?
Álvaro.
Alvaro. Okay, great speech. That's exactly the best answer I could imagine was yours. Okay, thank you very much, Alvaro. And why is belonging to European Union important for you? I mean, according to what I said before, well, more or less Alvaro has mentioned something like that. Maybe a girl can answer now. Alvaro and somebody. Would you like to answer? Your name, sorry. Hey, come on, no. Come on, don't be shy. Anybody. So, why is belonging to the European Union important for you? I mean, according to what I mentioned before, I mean, like maybe you can mention some of the elements that Alvaro has said, no? Any question? I mean, any comment? Why is belonging to the European Union important for Spain? Well, maybe not for you, just in a personal way, but for Spain. Why is it important for Spain to stay in the European Union? Anybody? Come on. Don't be shy. Come on. All right. I didn't bring any chocolates or something just for the ones that speak. Sorry. I just forgot. Okay. Right, but that's a good motivational aspect. Okay. Anybody? Why is it important? Okay. What I mentioned before, no, I mean this idea of, I mean, you cannot imagine the roads that we had in Spain in the 1970s. Okay, you cannot really imagine. Okay, the roads were not in very good conditions. Spain maybe didn't have the money to repair all the roads. Of course, I mean, and due to Europe, we have made many highways, for example, many connections, many trains. For example, all the fast trains have been supported by Europe. Of course, it's essential for us. It has been essential for us. Just to keep this idea of Spain was down here, now it's becoming, more equal. Not exactly the same as maybe in Germany. We don't have maybe the same income, but of course there is not such a big difference. No? And how about this idea of, because now you are 16, 17, yeah, 16, 17. So right now you cannot vote. You cannot vote in the Spanish elections, in municipal elections. You can vote in European elections because you are also going to vote for the Spanish representatives in the European Parliament. Okay. But do you think, just speaking not only about Europe, but about your maturity, because this is a debate that is happening right now in Europe. They are thinking about the fact of decreasing the age to vote, because the situation has changed. Now young people are more educated, you have a lot of information when you are 15, 16, So they are thinking about maybe decreasing the age to maybe 16. They think that you are mature enough when you are 16 to vote. Okay. How do you think? What do you think? Would you like to have the right to vote when you are 16? You think you have all the information necessary to participate in that, to give you voice in this kind of elections? Come on. They said that you were very talkative and very outgoing. Okay. Yeah. Tell me.
I think it would be a disaster.
It would be a disaster.
Yes, because even though all the information which we have access nowadays with our age, I think in general we are not mature enough to participate in so representative or so decisive decision. Because voting in an election of a country or even an autonomous community is something like very important, and I think that with our age we aren't like enough prepared to participate in that.
Oh, okay, good. That's a good opinion. Okay, that's why maybe the age is 18. But maybe we have this disagreement there. Yeah.
I think that with 18 we aren't also prepared because we don't receive any education about politics. If you know something about politics, it's because you have searched it by your own, but no one says us how does it work. So I think with 18 we aren't prepared.
You're ready. Okay, so you agree in that sense that maybe we should talk more about politics, maybe in our subjects too. Just giving you information. Maybe as this talk, for example, that we mentioned some elements that are political elements, really, because it's political elements related to the idea of Europe, not to the European values. So I think this is important. Just for you to know what you defend. Of course, even when you are 18, or even myself, I sometimes do not have enough information, because of course you have to look for the programs of every political party, and sometimes maybe we are working and all that, and we don't really read the program deeply, but sometimes when some things appear on the news, like saying, well, this political party defense that if they win, they will get out, they will take away Spain from Europe. So, come on, so that's not fair, no? So I don't vote for that party, no? So even adults have the same problem, no? So, but I understand what you mean. That maybe you don't think so much about politics. You are more concentrated on other elements, But maybe do you think that we should include in our curriculum some aspects related to politics, for example? Because, for example, in Spain, we don't have a subject which could be political science, for example. In other countries, we have subjects like this. And even in the United States, they have subjects like this in the secondary school. Do you think that it could be incorporated, maybe not as a subject, but incorporating that matter into other subjects? Do you agree?
Yes.
Yes. Okay. So I can see that you have like a wish to know more about politics and decisions. Okay. Does anybody, because we have two opinions of people saying we are not mature enough. Okay. We don't have enough information. Okay. Does anybody disagree with that? You think that you can? What is the difference between being 16 and 18? It's only 2 years difference. No. So does anybody say no? I think I'm ready to participate in elections, for instance. Nobody? I got it.
Well, I think that it's all a matter of age. You have to put a limit, because I think that there are people that even in older life they are not prepared to vote, because voting is a matter of dedicating time, and if you are not willing to dedicate that time, I don't think you should vote. But because it's impossible to to say, like, to distinguish the people who give it a time and the ones that they don't give it. I don't think that's that would be like such a terrible change to put it like in 16, because I think it could be more or less the same. Because I think that people with 16 years, if they are willing to dedicate it time, they are as well as like they are prepared to vote as well as if they had 18.
Wow, that's a very mature opinion, Alvaro. That's good. In this case, well, of course, I agree with all of you. I understand your opinions, but I really agree with Alvaro. I think you are, of course, ready to, to take action. I mean, because what Alvaro said, I mean, people can be 25 and maybe they are not mentally right to vote. I mean, they don't really care. Oh, well, okay, that's the first. Well, the tradition in my family is this. Okay, I vote for this party. No, I mean, you have to take decisions. You have to be informed. So, and it doesn't matter if you are 25, if you are 30. I mean, if you really have the interest, even though you are 16, it's only okay. I have the right to vote. I take it seriously. I'm going to read all the programs. I'm going to see who defends the possibilities of finding a job for young people. I mean, because of course at your age you have to focus on those countries that really refer to you. Try to do things for young people. Of course. Soon you are going to incorporate into university, you are going to incorporate into the job market, so you need to have parties that really defend young people. Okay, so. Anyway, that's my opinion, okay? But I see you, I look at you and I see you are potential voters. You have information, maybe if the age for voting is 16, maybe also at the school we'll also give more speeches, more conferences about, to give you more information, but I think you are mature enough to do that. Okay, so. All right, so have you got any questions? Because more or less we are in at the end of the presentation. Yes? Yes, José Ramón? Yeah, okay, I was commenting something, okay. So, any question that you could have? No? No questions? Any doubts about the presentation? No? Okay, all right. So, well, more or less it's just 5 minutes for the end. Yes, José Ramón, do you have any comment?
It's the next slide, the last slide.
The last slide. I think I don't have any slide. That's the
don't worry, be happy, don't worry.
Okay, it's the last one that we have, okay? But anyway, just to finish, I always like to finish it with a quote, okay? And this is a quote by Antonio Machado, okay? Antonio Machado is also a European representative, of course, he's a European culture, no? So this idea of tenemos que compartir. Esa es la idea que nos transmitía siempre Antonio Machado en sus poemas, por ejemplo. Entonces, todo lo que tenemos que hacer es compartir. Todo lo que se sabe se tiene que compartir. Y esa es un poco la esencia, la cita, que es a lo que me refería Antonio Machado. Siempre termino las ponencias de ese modo, okay? With this quote of Antonio Machado. So everything that you have has to be shared. Everything that you know has to be shared. Okay, so that's the most important comments, okay? So share as much as you know. All the expertise that you have, share it with your classmates, share it with your groups, in your projects, okay? So, and of course the same with me, okay? Everything I know about the European Union, about this idea of Europe, I share it in all the schools I give conferences and talks, okay? So, well, thank you so much. Thank you to all the European partners who are watching in the streaming. Well, good luck with the end of your project, okay, of your European Common Project, okay?